So the concept of a Tesla Model 2 has been intriguing for years now. People have wanted something from someone that is basically a slightly smaller, slightly cheaper, fully electric car that doesn't suck. And Chevy's actually gotten there. The Bolt has had this sneaky glow up over the past couple of years, and I've finally gotten to test the newest one. It starts at under $30,000, and it's a solid EV that genuinely doesn't suck. I think if Tesla eventually ended up making something like this, it would have a lot of things in common with this Bolt, but I've been driving the Bolt for the past couple days now, about a week, and I have a lot to show you because it actually is, it's pretty impressive. Cars like this end up being a nice sort of reminder or a benchmark to how far we've come with electric cars now. So what you're looking at is a single motor, front wheel drive, fully electric car. It's got a 65 kilowatt hour battery, and it's rated for 262 miles of range. We'll get to that in a second. It's about 210 horsepower. It'll do a 0 to 60 in 6.8 seconds, but it only weighs 3,800 pounds because it's a smaller battery, and priced as tested is under $30,000. So it's of course always going to be a tough challenge to try to make the cheapest electric car, because electric cars typically have a higher price tag because of that one really expensive part, the battery. But this Bolt, like I said, has a 65 kilowatt hour battery, so it's a bit smaller and therefore a bit cheaper, but it makes up for that by being very efficient. So that's one of the nice things. This doesn't have a ton of bells and whistles, but you can see here up at the front, it's a pretty aerodynamic shape. Obviously it's not a gas car, so it doesn't need a huge grille at the front. So under that blacked out Chevy logo, I think it looks pretty good, obviously, very clean, has a good coefficient of drag, the headlights over to the side and the DRLs. So that's nice, sitting on these nice, very basic 17-inch wheels. You can see that Bolt logo over on the side there. But then the more I've gone through this car, the more I've found that it's, I don't want to say well equipped, because that's the type of thing you'd say about a more expensive, like super nice bells and whistles type of car, but it has all the things that I would expect to have in a basic modern EV, like an NACS port. In the US, I can charge at a Tesla supercharger without an adapter. It's not the fastest charging thing in the world, but that is really nice to see. You get on the side, regular door handles, that's nice. And then over back here, you have this one little aero feature, not a spoiler or anything like that, but it does make it look a little bit more sporty. A rear windshield wiper, something else they could have skimped on, but they threw that in there too. And then in the trunk, so it's not a power opening trunk, but it is assisted by hydraulics, so that's still also nice. And then the trunk space. So again, it's not like a full size, it's not a RAV4 or a Model Y, but that's still a good amount of space here. And you also do have a sub trunk, which is perfect for groceries or even for our video's sponsor, Chemical Guys. This is their new Raging Rhino all-in-one exterior detailer. So it cleans and shines and lays down a protective coating in a single pass. Basically, this single bottle and a microfiber cloth is all we've used to turn this into this. And the best part is there's no water required. So you could be in the middle of a desert or something. It doesn't have to be wet. You can just be good to go with just this bottle. So instead of buying 4 different exterior solutions to achieve the same goal, you can buy this one bottle for $49.99. That gets the job done every time. So if you want one for yourself, go to the link in the description below. And thanks to Chemical Guys for sponsoring this video. Now, back to the Bolt. So these seats do go down. Obviously, that's a must for a car in this class to fit bigger stuff. And when you put those seats down, that obviously is a ton of room. So kudos there. And then the interior. There's, again, a lot of stuff they could have skimped with the interior, but didn't. So let's get in the driver's seat here. Actually, one thing I want to point out, because I talk about every EV in this way, there is no power button, no startup button, which could be seen as cost savings, but a lot of chiming there. I actually like that. And sometimes that's framed as like a little too modern, like people still want the familiarity of a start button, but honestly, I like just being able to get in the car, put my foot on the brake, switch to drive, and just go. Just drive immediately. And then when I'm done, I park, put it in park, get out, walk away, it locks, and it turns off. So I don't really have to think about it too much. I like that about it. So here in the driver's seat, you have the steering wheel, which feels very standard, solid. It's the one leather thing inside this cockpit here. I have my notes on the buttons here, so you have your cruise control stuff and some general navigation. But then on the back of the steering wheel on this side, there's actually a volume up and down here, which is really nice. And then on the other side, that's your track forward and track backwards. So you can kind of control the media with your hands on the steering wheel at all times. Except there's no play pause. So I just wish there was. One of these buttons should be able to play pause my media, but they don't. So that's my one complaint that I have to go to the screens for. But you do have these screens. Behind the steering wheel is a standard screen, and then over to the right, this screen is just Chevy software. They have decided, not as cost savings, but as like a general brand philosophy, to not have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. It's one thing I think they could have done better. Obviously, they used to have it in previous cars, but GM has just decided they're not doing it with Cadillac. They're not doing it with Chevy. So unfortunately, that might be a deal breaker for some people, but they do have Google Maps. They have the Play Store, so you have regular apps like Spotify or whatever else you want to throw in this screen here. But yeah, it's not going to directly mirror your phone. You can pair your phone to play it on the speakers, which are nothing to write home about. They're fine. But that is the software situation up here. I like to see real physical buttons, okay? And this is nice, again, because if you're skimping or making a cheaper car, you'd expect them to cut a lot of this stuff, but you have real HVAC controls, and a lot of this stuff here is real buttons. And then a ton of storage. Most of it makes a lot of sense. I have a little bit of qualms with some like tiny details, but there is a ton of storage in here. Cup holders in the doors, storage in the doors, and then this little section for a phone maybe. I wish there was more of a lip here, but that's nice. This section here, this section here. Then this section down here, these are not wireless chargers, but it's a good spot for 2 smartphones if you want them. Another little piece of storage here, I don't know, sunglasses maybe? They might fall out again as well, but that's more storage. Then this large center section, you have customizable, potentially another cup holder down here if you want, customizable storage. And then again, more customizable storage in that center console. So Chevy has not skimped on the storage at all. You even have this center storage here, which is big enough for a massive CCS to NACS adapter. And you have a glove box over here, which is also big enough for your level 1 adapter too. So no shortage of storage in the front of this car. And yeah, it doesn't feel like they've skimped. This is even a power adjustable seat, forward and backward. The passenger seat is still manual, and that's what I'd expect in a car at this price, but still, that's nice striping. It looks pretty good. It's comfortable. And then, of course, you know, you've got a regular mirror. It's not like a LCD with a camera attached, but if I flip into reverse, that reverse feed is still very usable, and my seat actually vibrates when I'm close to things, and it does that on the road too, just like every other Cadillac and GM product. So, let's go into the back seat, because if you're curious about this, you'd probably want to know how much space there is behind that 6'3" driving position, since I talk about that all the time. And it's actually pretty good. There's plenty of space here. It's a higher floor because that's where the battery is, but there's space between my knees and that seat. The cloth seats look totally fine. I'm cool with this. You got 2 USB Type-C ports back here. There's more speakers. Again, they don't sound amazing, but they get plenty loud enough. And one thing I've kept noticing as I've been driving the Bolt is it's taller than I would expect. There's plenty of legroom and plenty of headroom in the front and the back. Didn't expect that. So look, the materials are nothing to write home about, but they definitely didn't skimp on anything baffling. They didn't make any choices that made me go, oh, really? You did that to reduce the price? I don't think they did any of those things. And then driving it, honestly, I was very impressed. Now here comes all the chimes. This does happen every single time. And then you can get going, and it drives pretty well. So again, front wheel drive, 0 to 60 in 6 to 7 seconds, which sounds slow, but it's actually surprisingly peppy. It's electric, the torque is instant. You get to, navigating traffic and getting away from stoplights like any other car. It's very, very usable. And yeah, it actually rides pretty soft. So I'm happy that it's not sporty or anything like that, but it absorbs potholes. This is a New Jersey car and a New Jersey road, and nothing surprised me or shocked me here or felt like super harsh. This might ride better than a lot of the first-gen Model 3s and Model Ys that people are driving around today. I will admit that I tried to switch this car into sport mode just to see what would happen. This graphic turns, red and has a little streak back there. I did not notice a single other thing changing. So I'm sure it, maybe is more responsive on the accelerator pedal or has some firmer steering or something like that, but it was really not noticeable at all. I didn't feel the need to change it to sports, so you could just leave it in normal and get your range. And like I said, range was real, 250 to 270 miles of honest range, and my commute, which would be to 20 to 30 miles, would be actually 20 to 30 miles shown on the display. So I was pleasantly surprised with that. It has regenerative braking, one pedal driving, It was pretty smooth to stop. Not the smoothest, I think, getting away from 0 and getting down to 0. Some other cars are better calibrated at being smooth there. But yeah, really no complaints here. So the thesis of the Chevy Bolt is really just trying to answer the question, is it possible in 2026 to make an electric car for under 30 grand, brand new, that doesn't suck? And the answer is yes. This car is that and doesn't suck. Does it make a lot of cuts and does it have basics basically all the way through the car? Yeah, of course. It has regular materials, regular speakers, regular software. But yeah, I think if anybody's curious if you can actually do it, you can. I wonder how low they could actually go if they wanted to make a $25,000, $23,000 car. Could they do it? Maybe. I don't know. But I'm proud of the Bolt. Nice glow up you've had. Also, the next car I'm testing is surprisingly close to this one, so we'll see how that goes too. But thanks for watching, and let me know what you think of the Bolt in that comment section below. Catch you guys later. Peace.